Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Quantum Mystic podcast. We're live, and I'm Jane Bear here with my partner and friend and all the things, Lisa Campion. And we're talking about today a topic that I think Lisa and I talk about a lot. We're going to get into, walking your truth in a world of bypassing and love and light, but we're really getting into um, what the spiritual laws, practical spiritual living a spiritual practical life, and understanding the universal laws and being a human. So, welcome, Lisa. How are you?
Thanks. I'm doing good. I'm so happy to be talking about this. I think it's such an important topic. And, I think as spiritual seekers, I don't know, we go through I can only speak about my own journey really and what I've seen from other people. And I think I know for me, when I was kind of first on my spiritual journey, I was definitely a love and lighter Jane. Don't tell anyone. I was like, "It's all good, and there's no evil in the world, and it's all positive, and I don't actually feel any bad feelings." Like, it was, like, super it's kind of for me, it was, like, a very I think of an inner child stage of spiritual development, like, I needed the universe to be safe,
Yeah.
and I needed my spiritual unfoldment to be safe, and so it's kind of all unicorns and rainbows, and you know, then I started really doing healing work and, like, working on myself and working on other people, and I'm like, "Well, it's true, but it's only half the story," right? Because the way that our dimension works is it's half light and half shadow, half light and half dark, and if we're just only looking at the light, are we missing half the picture?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like a hard to digest truth that there's the equal and opposite, that we live in a world of polarity, and the universal laws are there's cause and effect. And when you really think about what that means, is like there's both sides.
Right.
Um, and but there's also resonance, and there's rhythm to the universe, and there's so yeah, I I agree. It's sort of like a
I was like, "Oh, shoot. I have to actually deal with this whole other side of things that I didn't wanna look at it myself and was kind of forced to examine because it's what it was showing up with my clients?
Right, exactly. And then it's hard, you can't really argue it. Once you see it, especially when you're working, as you and I do with clients, with other people who are bringing things, um, that are often, whether it's deep trauma or just suffering that all humans experience, then we're sort of met, and we're able to actually see, like, oh, there's so much more than the love and light that we all would love for to be
If
the
it was
whole
only that if it
universe
was only
truth.
that, we would be so excited, right?
We'd be so excited, but I always say, like, would we really come back to Earth School? Because it's like it wouldn't be much of
Mm,
an amusement park ride. It wouldn't be. So,
no.
I think that we do come for all of it. We
Yeah,
come for the polarity. We come, because we're participating in, like, this co-creation, I guess. Um, so it's about experiencing it all.
totally.
Yeah.
Melissa Tomei says, "Hi." Hi, Melissa.
Hi, Melissa.
I love Melissa. I
Yep.
remember I started Jane a lot with the tarot cards. So when I was young in my 20s, I was studying the Rider-Waite tarot deck, and it was a big part of my sort of metaphysical and spiritual education, and still is really meaningful to me. And I have taught the tarot deck a lot, and I've heard a lot of people say, "Well, I don't like that deck. It's too negative."
Oh,
And I'm like, I get it because it really just reflects life. I don't think it's negative. It's sometimes it addresses the difficulties we have, you know?
Yeah.
But it has like the death card and the tower card and the devil card and
Yeah.
all these things that people are like, I don't want to think about that. I don't want to know that. But it's just really a reflection of our human experience. And I also have like what I think of as my inner child cards, which are like only the happy news, like the unicorn, fairy, rainbow cards. And there are times when I go to those cards when my inner child just wants somebody to tell me it's gonna be okay, you know? "Just tell me it's all gonna be okay." And then I'll pull from that, but if I really wanna know the if I want a real answer, or I really wanna, like, address the real thing, then the Rider-Waite
Mhm.
mind has that complexity, that, like, the depth of the full experience.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree, because that's the reality of the world we live in. It's not just the the fluff, you know. It's there's so much um there is so much, gosh, I mean, there is so much pain, right? It's like we're human, and we're here experiencing being human. And um and I there's the part of me that really truly always believes that it's always going to be okay. Like,
Right.
no matter what, it's always going to be okay, even if it's really hard. And like, there's that part of me that really believes that. And I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm going to hold on to that one.
Yeah, I feel that. Me too. Like if you step back far enough, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like if you step back from
The
the
expanded view. Yeah.
yeah, the expanded view, like the personality is gonna, it's kind of like what the Buddhists say, like when we're stuck in our ego and our personal self, there's suffering,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And when we step more into the higher self, into the quantum self, and we see the bigger picture, we tap into the divine plan. Like if you're looking at things from the level of the divine plan, of course it's always okay.
That's
Like
right.
how could it be anything else?
Exactly. Yes. And I believe that.
Yeah.
And I think that the human part, we get kind of tangled up in, and where it gets really messy is when we forget that, and we forget that, or we don't even, or we've never known it. But to really, embody spirituality, it's not like a performance of spirituality. It's like it's a constant practice, and we really do
Yeah.
have to surrender to these universal laws, surrender to whatever it is that life is bringing us, and not in a way that we, you know, let people walk all over us. It's not that kind of surrender.
Mhm.
But no, but when surrender becomes more like a spiritual code, um, something that it it's like it allows the deeper truths to really come up, and then we can, I don't know, we can embody them.
Yeah, so I love what you just said about performative and performance.
Hmm.
Let's talk about that. So we're digging in a little deeper. Like, what does it look like when someone's just doing performative spiritual work?
Mm. I think I have a little resistance, and I love all the work that so many amazing teachers have brought, but I have a little resistance to like affirmations where we're just like thinking positive, thinking positive, thinking positive, you know, um, because I don't think we can think our way to positivity always. I think that there's more to it. It's like, well, what's under that? You know, what's
Mhm,
below that? So I think that can be performed. I see that as being performative. That's what I think when we say like love and light.
mhm.
That's one of them. You know, or if that's like, just raise your frequency, you'll be fine.
Right. How do you do that? Or I
Right.
think about the people who, and, like I, I'm I just see this a lot in sort of like the influencer world, and people who are like spiritual seekers, but they're showing it all on social media. Like you get up and you have your smoothie, your green smoothie, and you have like your meditation, and you walk barefoot in the earth, and you look perfect in your yoga clothes, and you know namaste, and those there's nothing wrong with any of those things.
Totally.
Those things are all things that I do,
Let's do all those things.
except
Yeah.
maybe the yoga clothes. I don't know about that. But that there's sort of the picture that we present to the world and maybe to ourselves, where and we're doing all the things, and there's nothing wrong with doing all the things. We need to do all the things. We talk about that all the time. Like you have to do the things. But there's where it's sort of like it doesn't go deeper than that. Does that make sense? Like it's like if that's all there is you're only doing the things that doesn't have a deeper exploration in it, and I think I was thinking a lot about the hero's journey, and the Rider Waite Tarot cards sort of has that embedded in it, the soul's journey, the fool's journey, the hero's journey. There's always the dark night of the soul. There's always the into the belly of the whale. There's always that, like, you know, Luke Skywalker goes into the cave, kind of like we have to confront the darkness
Yeah.
in ourselves, in the world, and other people, that I see missing sometimes in the spiritual industry, if that makes sense.
100%. And I think that there's really a cost to that spiritual bypassing. I think there's a lot, I see it, there's a lot of like fatigue that's happening right
Mhm.
now. So it's maybe spiritual fatigue because people are exhausted by that performative healing. And like I said, it's not just raise your frequency. It's not just trust in the universe or, you know, but it's like there's even with that, people are still burnt out or they're still un like suffering, right? There's still so much disassociation and not living in integrity. And I feel like that spiritual bypassing often looks like floating above your life instead of being in it.
Mhm.
And universal laws really don't respond to performance. Um, they, we've said this before, they respond to resonance, and you can't fake that, you know? So I think that's,
It's exhausting trying pretending to be happy all the time.
yeah,
We're
exactly.
trying to be happy all the time.
Exactly. And the reality is when you dig in and do that scarier work, it can often be scary. I think for those who have been doing it a long time, it's no longer scary. Um, but when you're just starting and you really want to just stay in that like higher frequency because it feels so good, the scary thing is to dig into the pain. But the truth is, when you do dig in, on the other side of that is real freedom. You know,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah. I know it's like a lot of shadow work, and that's something we talk about a lot, and we do a lot of shadow work in our mystery school, the Quantum Mystic Mystery School. Um and so much of what we're talking about is coming through the lens of what we teach in our mystery school. And there no spiritual bypassing allowed. Like
that's
we're going to call you on that pretty quick if we think you're doing it. And maybe offer comfort for the inner child, like comfort for the part of you that needs things to be okay, you know?
mm-hmm.
But also, like, can we hold the inner child's hand? This is how I do it for myself, honestly. Like, I hold my own inner child's hand. I'm like, it is gonna be okay. We're okay. We got this. I'm okay. You're okay. We're okay. And then, like, well, what is there? What is that unresolved trauma, or it's a lot of working with the unconscious self, with the parts that when they're not all bright and shiny, we shove them into the unconscious, or we shove them into the shadow. We're like, I'm not going to deal with that. I don't want to feel that. I don't want to look at that. I don't want to know that. I don't want to pay attention to that. I'm just gonna, or like whatever that we do, that sort of like that's the bypass, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which, like you said, in the school, not allowed. Well, We I think, and at this point, students who are in year one, and are going into year two, can identify that more and almost, help each other. Like, well,
Mhm.
what's underneath that? What's below that? So I think that's the beautiful community that we, are creating, the communities that we're creating to really help each other, because we do need that mirror. We That's why there's so many of us in this world, is we need each other to help us sort of walk the way home. Um, Something else we were going to talk about is Dharma, and I would love um, your explanation of Dharma.
I always think dharma, like dharma and karma, are kind of like two separate things, and I
Yeah.
think sometimes people get them mixed up. And for me, karma is like the leftover. It's like leftovers. It's like what we didn't process, digest, assimilate, heal in, if you believe in reincarnation, in a lifetime, we kind of pull into the next lifetime with us like a leftover. You didn't have it for dinner. You're gonna have it for lunch the next day.
Yeah.
Like, like that's it. But dharma to me is our I think on some ways it's like our mission in life, like our purpose, like what we've come here to do. How I don't think it's the same as fate. I don't really believe in fate, but sometimes I believe we have the chessboard's kind of set up. The pieces of the chess are set up on the board before we come in onto the planet. And that's like our dharma, how we what's our work here. And that is internal work and also external work. That's what I think. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I've heard it different ways. I think that that's exactly right, at least, from my understanding. And it's really not, Dharma, isn't about like perfection. It's not about, like, it's not your job. It's not the job title, right?
Yeah.
And it's not a way of being, like, it's not a performance. It's not like I'm going to be this and therefore I'm living my dharma. And it's not even really, I don't even really think it's a calling that gets handed to you, like you said. I think, it's like your being's rhythm, natural rhythm. It's like the path that you is uniquely yours to walk, with all its grit and grace and revelations and detours. And it's not always glamorous. It's definitely not clear. And it's not always comfortable. It's sort of like, um,
Mhm.
it's like it's your spiritual purpose.
Yeah.
But it's also devotion to that truth in practice.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I think it for me, it's more like a state of being,
Yeah.
or I see people's dharma, like when I look at their when people ask me, it's like the single biggest question people ask me is the psychic. Like, what am I here for?
What's my
Drives
purpose?
people
Yeah.
nuts when they don't know what that is.
Yeah.
And we think it's a job, or like, I'm going to quit my corporate job and open a healing center. And that's great. I mean, if that's what you want to do. But I think our dharma, you can keep your corporate job and still work your dharma.
Exactly.
Like it's not about what you do, it's a state of being
Yeah.
and how you do what you do. And when you know what your dharma is, it doesn't matter what you do for a job, you're going to do that. I always say, like, you take me out of my office and put me in McDonald's flipping hamburgers, and I'm going to still do Reiki on people and talk to their dead grannies because I can't help it. You know what I mean? It's sort of like not what I do. It's like who I am at a fundamental level. And
Right.
I think that's our dharma. Like it might be like I see themes, are you here? And that dharma seems to have kind of like the double-edged sword, you know, in a way. Like there's the pain, the healing we need to do internally, and the service we're doing
Yeah.
externally. So maybe it's about understanding love. That's a beautiful dharma, right? And it
Mhm.
might be about bhakti, like devotional love in the world. It might be about learning to love yourself, about letting other people love you, receiving love. Like there's a lot to unpack the dharma of love. Many lifetimes we have to go through that, or maybe it's liberation. Like you're in a liberation cycle and you need to like empower yourself and experience freedom and you know and so many ways to do that, like internal freedom, external freedom, that I think of sort of more general kind of themes that we are dealing with for our Dharma.
Yes, I totally agree. Um, and I feel like it's often the why people are so confused because it's very quiet. I feel like it's the very
Mm,
quiet clarity that sort of whispers to you, that
yeah.
like this is mine to do. Like this
Hmm.
is it's very humble. It's not about being seen. It's really truly about being honest and walking that whatever that is, that whisper, um, with integrity of like why you keep coming back here to learn and experience and heal and be in
Yeah.
service. Um,
Beautiful.
yeah, and so that's where I love when you talk about um, there's the dharma or like the um, your purpose or almost maybe your soul's purpose, maybe your being's purpose. But then there's the life purpose, which I think are two separate things, right?
Mm. Hmm.
Because in this lifetime, there's so much more to it because of karma, the universal law of karma, which is cause and effect. You know, we still have things that we might be paying off in this life, which is going to affect this lifetime.
Right. What's the expression in this lifetime of your Dharma? It's like,
Yes.
how do we boil it down into the 60, 80, 100 years that we have right now
Right.
in this incarnation, in this physical form, in this culture, that the culture, body, time that you've been born into is like a unique expression of this bigger picture.
Yeah.
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 I I love that we were talking about the spiritual law, the universal laws.
Yeah.
In fact, I was writing a book about the universal laws. And I had to interrupt that to write another book. But so the book on universal laws got shunted to the side to do the inner child book that I'm working on now.
Yeah.
But we work a lot with the universal laws in the mystery school, in the
Yeah.
quantum mystic mystery school, and um, I don't know. Let's talk about them because I think people get a little confused about what they are or how it all works.
Yeah. I think, well, I think there's probably more than we even know. I don't and I don't know that they've ever changed, but we're sort of waking up to them. And the universal laws are like the spiritual laws, or it's sort of like I feel like they're the universal truths that like govern the mechanics of the universe.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
they're like both the seen and the unseen. And there's a
Mhm.
lot that's unseen.
Yeah,
So much more than we realize. And I think that we can all kind of sense them. That's where our inner compass is creates our value system. Um, but it's these energetic truths really shape how everything, how energy flows, how consciousness evolves, how creation unfolds. I mean, it's just so wild. It's so
so wild. It's so cool.
right.
And I
Um,
think when we know what they are, we can sort of ride the waves. Like we can use those rules in our favor, right?
yeah,
And when we don't know them, when we go against them, you have no hope of winning. You're not going to win that battle. You're just going to get crushed
yeah,
under the weight of those, and
yeah,
we see this happen all the time, especially with the ones that are really here. You know, free will. I love this triple trifecta: free will, cause and effect.
yeah,
Like we can choose. We experience the results of our choices, and then we choose to learn or not learn. And that's a really basic little chain of events that go there that so few people somehow believe it. It's like, well, that applies to everybody but me. You know what I mean? Like I'm not really gonna have to suffer the consequences of my option of my choices or my thoughts, words, and deeds. Like it's all getting counted. It's all somebody's watching it. It all
it's all being
it's
recorded.
all being recorded and even if you think you get away with it, you don't.
You don't, and you might in this lifetime, but you won't in the next,
Right.
you know. Um, yeah. Should we talk about some other ones? Because those are really,
Yeah. Those are really big. I think the law of conscious creation was sort of the law of thought, like that our thoughts create things. Thoughts create energy, matter. Like what we think about, we bring about. That's a big one.
yeah, which is like sort of the law of attraction, right?
Yes, the law of
Um,
attraction. Yeah,
there's a law of oneness, the law of divine oneness, where
the
everything
law
is
of unity.
the law of unity, which is like sort of my favorite right now because as um, we're going into the age of unity, right? Everything is connected. Every thought action
Hmm.
has a ripple effect, and it
Yeah.
ripples through the whole, you know.
Right.
And it's that idea that separation really is an illusion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, the law of there's two that go together, like vibration, the law of vibration, the law of resonance. So the law of vibration is that everything's vibrating,
yep.
and the
That's
resonance is how the vibrations interact, right?
yeah.
So we're that our vibration impacts and affects other things. We're sending it out like a ripple,
Yep.
and how those ripples interact with each other. That's the law of resonance. And we know if we say all the time, "Well, that doesn't resonate with me," or
Right.
"I don't like that person's vibe," or "That's totally my vibe." Like we can feel it, we know it, and that is something that's just like not something that you can get around. You can't really bypass that one, or you do at your own, risk.
Yeah. And that's to add to that, that's where the as above, so below, as within, so
Mhm.
without.
Yeah.
That's it's like those patterns, like you said, ripple out. And that's why going back to why we don't spiritual bypass is because inner work creates outer change.
Yes.
We talked about law of attraction.
The law of the mirror, the law of reflection is one that I think about a lot. So that one states that everything in the universe is a mirror to show us our own
Hmm.
self. You know what I mean? And what it's it's a little bit it's connected to resonance and vibration, but that mirror is like what we send out, we get back, and everything that's occurring around us is an opportunity to look at ourselves.
Yeah.
Are your relationships, if you have a kerfluffle with somebody, like what does that mean? And what is it showing you about you? The universe is a reflection of you.
Yeah.
It's like standing in a hall of mirrors.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, let's see. Law of inspired action. Manifestation isn't passive. You must act in alignment with your intentions.
Mhm.
It's not like grind it out. It's not force. It's inspired. Um,
Right.
that ties into the resonance. It like flows with the resonance.
Yeah. Love it. So let's talk a little bit more about the school because we're starting another program in a couple months, like next month, really June. Oh
Next
yeah, we're in May.
month.
So in June, we're starting our year, a new year one. And if you feel like this is resonating with you and you want to know more, if you want to be in a container with other people who are studying these universal laws or are working with um, deep spiritual practice, and we work through the chakra system, like to really help understand who you are at a deep level. We only sign up people once a year. This is it, and we've just had incredible feedback from the people that finished, year one. Most of them are moving into year two, and we're taking in a new one. Yeah, Melissa, we have a new year one and a continuing year two. So we have both.
Yeah. So
We're
both will be going
enrolling.
at the same time. And Melissa, you're here too.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're carrying on with year two and we're enrolling new people into year one. Melissa was in our last year one, and will hopefully be moving into year two because she's such a beauty to have in the group.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Um, so, yeah, this is the time where this is intriguing and you really want to work on your consciousness, and you want to do some deep inner self work, inner reflecting. We invite you to
Yeah.
join us in this year.
If you want to hear more about the universal laws, because we certainly did not get to all of them. That'd be another topic for another day.
Yeah.
You know, we're really excited. We're coming up on registration for the next year one, and we'd love to have those who feel excited about it.
Mm. Thank you so much, Melissa, for your comments and for being in year one and moving on to year two. We hope that you do. And thank you so much, Jane, for this incredible conversation. It was so fun to talk about it.
Yeah, always so great. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Lisa.